carefully.
What is the morning
The
routine
atomic
of
bomb
someone
cannot
who
be
has
unmade.
trained their mind
The
for
destruction cannot be
2,600
reversed.
years?
What
For
you build
Buddhist
today
monks,
might change the future
mornings
forever.
aren't about motivation.
So ask yourself every
They're
day,
about mastery.
am I building something
They
that will
don't
help
follow
people
trends.
or hurt them?
They follow
Oppenheimer's
truth.
story is not
While
just
the
a
world
history
chases
lesson.
productivity
It is a
hacks,
mirror for all
monks
of us.
begin the day with
It shows what
practices that
happens
shape
when
their
intelligence
spirit,
moves
dissolve
faster
the
than
ego,
morality.
and anchor them
It
in
shows
peace.
how a single man
And the
can change
difference
the
isn't
world
just
and
in
then
what they
suffer
do,
alone for it.
it's in why
It
they
shows
do
how
it.
a soul can
In
be
this
brilliant
video,
and broken
I'll
at the
reveal
same
12
time.
powerful
We
habits
must
that
never
monks use
forget what
every
he
single
gave us.
morning to stay
And we
grounded,
must never forget
clear,
what it
and
cost him.
unshakably calm,
If you felt this
no matter
story,
what
if the
life
story
brings.
touched your heart,
These aren't
if you learned
routines
something
for
powerful,
efficiency.
if you now see the
They
world
are
differently,
rituals for
then
awakening.
don't just forget it.
Before we begin
Remember
with number
Oppenheimer.
1, subscribe
Remember
to the
what
Dharma
he
State of
built and
Mind,
remember
where
what
every
he
video
lost.
is a doorway
And if
to
you
calm,
want more stories like
clarity,
this,
and
subscribe to
timeless
this
Buddhist
channel.
insight you
Because
won't
here
find
we don't just
anywhere
tell
else.
stories,
And
we
stay
tell
with
the
me
truths
until
that
the
the
very
world
end,
tries to
because
forget.
there's a bonus habit
Truths
that
that make you
reveals the
feel,
one
think,
thing
and
almost
grow.
no one remembers
Thank
to
you
do
for
when they
watching,
wake up.
and may you never
But
use your
it may be
intelligence
the most
without
important
compassion.
of all.
God bless
Let's
you and never
begin.
stop learning.
1. Wake before the world does. What if the world's noise is just an echo of your own? What if the very chaos you're trying to escape is simply a reflection of the mind you never made time to still? Monks begin their day in a way most never dare to try. Not with alarms or urgency, but with reverence. Long before the sun stretches its light across the earth, they rise. Not to race, not to win, but to remember. To remember the stillness they are born from. They rise before the world does because silence is not empty. It is full of answers. The ancient bell of the monastery doesn't shout. It calls softly like a whisper from the soul. And in that gentle invitation, the monk finds a doorway to presence. In the quiet hour before dawn, when birds still dream and the wind hasn't yet spoken, monks sit, not to add anything to the world, but to subtract everything that isn't true. You see, the first thing you allow into your morning becomes the master of your mind. If you let chaos in, chaos will guide you. But if you let silence in, if you let breath and awareness in, peace becomes the current that carries you forward. There's a truth you may have forgotten. Your soul is not loud. It does not shout over traffic or emails or endless scrolling. It whispers, and it only whispers in moments of intentional stillness. Monks don't wake early to be productive. They wake early to be aligned. There is no greater success than a soul that begins the day in harmony with its purpose. In the silence of the pre-dawn, you meet yourself before the world tells you who to be. You remember your breath. You feel your aliveness. You return home before ever leaving your room. Pause here. What would you hear if you woke before the world told you what to listen to? What thoughts would rise without the noise of opinion, expectation, or comparison? Imagine waking up not to chase the day, but to meet it, to welcome the morning like an old friend instead of rushing past it like a task. Imagine starting your life from stillness every single day. The quieter you become, the more you can hear. These are not just poetic words. They are instructions. Your deepest wisdom, your truest peace, your most powerful clarity lives in the quiet places you've been too busy to visit. So tomorrow, before the world calls your name, rise, even if just for a moment, rise like a monk, not to conquer the day, but to return to yourself. Is it possible my true self lives in the silence I've been avoiding? 2. Don't reach for the world first. Why is the first thing we touch our distractions? Before our feet even meet the earth, our fingers reach, grasping, swiping, scrolling. As if the world outside knows more about us than the one within. Monks understand something we often forget. The way you begin is the way you become. So they don't touch their phones, they touch the present. Their hands do not lunge for stimulation, but rest gently on their laps on prayer beads on the earth. Why? Because the hands that grasp are never at peace. Every morning you are offered a choice to begin with noise or with stillness, to follow the world or to follow your breath. That first gesture you make, it writes the emotional code of your entire day. Is it chaos or clarity? Is it consumption or creation? When a monk opens his eyes, he doesn't open his screen. He opens awareness. He pauses, breathes, bows, and from that single moment of sacred intention, a ripple of inner peace begins to move outward. It's not just about what you avoid. It's about what you choose instead. You can't build a mindful life with impulsive habits. You can't claim peace if the first thing you worship is distraction. Each time you reach for the phone before your own thoughts, you tell your mind the outside world matters more than what's inside me. And slowly that becomes your truth. But imagine this instead. You rise with quiet. You place your hand gently over your heart. You feel your own aliveness, unfiltered, undistracted. You bow not to the demands of the world, but to the miracle of your breath. What would happen if that became your first action? Close your eyes. Picture your morning hand not reaching for a screen, but reaching inward for presence, for stillness, for truth. That small choice could be your liberation. The Buddha once said, "What you dwell upon, you become." So ask yourself, what have I been dwelling on in the first sacred moments of my day? What if I've been worshipping anxiety, distraction, validation without even knowing? This habit is not about guilt. It's about awareness. It's about remembering that every morning is a spiritual doorway. The world will always be waiting to consume you. But your soul, it waits to be remembered first. So tomorrow, don't reach for the world. Reach for your center. And whisper to yourself, "This moment is mine. Let me meet it with grace." Because in the end, it is not what you touch. It is what touches you. 3. Breathe with devotion, not duty. Is your breath a burden or a blessing? We wake each morning gifted with the miracle of breath. Yet treat it like background noise, like something automatic and insignificant. But monks know otherwise. To them, breath is not just a function. It is a doorway, a sacred return to the present. They don't begin their mornings with thoughts or tasks. They begin with breath, slow, conscious, and full of reverence. Not as a technique to control the mind, but as a ceremony of arrival. The inhale is life entering. The exhale is surrender. Nothing more is needed. And nothing is more profound. You see, monks do not breathe to relax. They breathe to remember. To remember that everything begins here. Before ambition, before identity, before distraction, there is breath. To breathe consciously is to pray without words. It is to say to the universe, "I am here." It is to whisper to your own soul, "I have not forgotten you." But in our world, we often treat the breath like a task to check off. We rush through it, ignore it, bury it beneath stress, urgency, and noise. And in doing so, we carry into the day all that is unchosen, anxiety, pressure, fear, without even realizing it. Pause with me now. Inhale deeply, gently. Feel it as a gift, as if life itself is reaching out to you. Now exhale, not with force, but with release. Let go of what the mind clings to. Feel how even one breath can soften the weight you didn't know you were holding. Monks don't treat breath like medicine. They treat it like prayer. Every inhale bows to the mystery of being alive. Every exhale lays down the burdens that no longer serve. This is Zen.
OT ritual for ritual's sake. It is remembrance. A daily reunion with the peace that never left you. Only you left it. What are you carrying into the day that you haven't chosen to? What if the stress you think is part of life is simply what you've forgotten to exhale? Tomorrow morning, before you speak, before you move, before you reach, breathe, but not to tick a box. Breathe like it's the first time you've ever received life. Breathe like it's the last time you'll get to give something back. Let your breath become your teacher, your prayer, your compass. Because sometimes the most powerful transformation does not come from a grand revelation, but from a single breath taken with presence. Can a single breath change your entire morning? A monk would smile gently and say, "It already has." 4. Let go before you hold on. Why fill the cup if it's already poisoned? Why rush into a new day carrying the weight of one that has already ended? Monks understand a quiet but powerful truth. Before you grasp for anything, you must first release. Before they take in the new morning, they bow to the passing night, not in grief, but in gratitude. They sit in stillness before movement. They let go before they hold on. Each dawn, a monk's first act is not to plan, achieve, or respond. It is to empty, to cleanse the mind like one would clear a path. Not with noise, but with silence. Not by force, but with awareness. Because no mind can receive clarity while still holding on to yesterday's storms. Most of us wake up already full of unresolved thoughts, lingering arguments, echoes of fear, regret from what we didn't do, anxiety about what we might fail to do. But monks treat the morning not as a continuation, but as a resurrection, a beginning, a blank scroll where nothing must be carried except breath. Imagine this. You rise early before the weight of the world climbs onto your shoulders. You sit, you close your eyes, and you picture every thought like a stone in your hand. Some sharp, some familiar. You place each one down gently by a river of stillness. You let them go, and you watch them drift away, not because they're unimportant, but because they do not belong in the purity of this moment. Letting go of yesterday is the monk's rebellion against the illusion of control. It is their silent refusal to let old pain become today's truth. You must empty yourself to receive. And in this emptying, peace enters, not with fireworks, but like a soft wind brushing across the soul. You might ask yourself now, what am I clinging to that doesn't belong in this morning? Is it an expectation, a wound, a thought you keep rehearsing as if it will finally give you peace? To let go does not mean to forget. It means to no longer carry. It means trusting that the river of life will take what no longer serves you if only you are willing to release it. The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. So when the morning comes, before you grasp your to-do list, your identity, or your ambitions, pause, breathe, surrender. Could peace be waiting just beyond your willingness to release? Could the day unfold differently if your hands were not clenched but open? Monks do not begin the day by adding. They begin by subtracting so they can hold space for stillness, for wisdom, for light. And you can do the same starting now. 5. Chant or pray softly to anchor the mind. Do your words feed your soul or your ego? Before the world begins its noise, monks begin their mornings with something far more subtle. Sound not for the world, but for the soul. Their lips move gently in sacred rhythm. Their voices aren't raised to be heard by others. They chant to remember, not to perform. Because to chant is not to declare something outwardly. It is to return inwardly again and again until the mind settles into silence. Each morning, long before the sun touches the horizon, a soft murmur flows through ancient monasteries. It is not loud. It does not compete with the wind. It moves like incense, gentle, fragrant, sacred. A mantra, a prayer, a name spoken slowly, reverently. Each syllable becomes a thread, weaving the mind back into stillness, anchoring it in presence before the world's distractions arrive. You don't need to be in a monastery to do this. You only need a word that nourishes you, a phrase that quiets your ego and softens your thoughts. Speak it not with effort, but with sincerity. Whisper it like a prayer into your breath. Feel how sound transforms when it's not meant to impress, but to awaken. The Buddha taught that right speech begins not with the mouth, but with the heart. Words that do not rise from awareness are merely noise. But words spoken from presence can heal, even if no one else hears them. Most people begin the day speaking to the world, scrolling, reacting, posting. But monks speak to the soul first. They know that the first voice you hear often becomes the loudest throughout the day. So they choose their own. A voice of peace, a voice of remembrance, a voice that carries no urgency, only devotion. Ask yourself gently, what words do I repeat each day? And are they healing me or harming me? Is your mind echoing gratitude or criticism, compassion or comparison? Now imagine this. You sit quietly, the light still dim, and you speak one sacred word, just one, slowly with your eyes closed and your breath soft. Let it echo inside like a bell. You are not chanting to become spiritual. You are chanting to remember that you already are. This simple practice becomes a thread that tethers you to the sacred before anything external defines your day. You don't need the perfect voice. You don't need the perfect mantra. You only need presence. Because before the world begins speaking through you, let your soul have the first word and let that word bring you home. 6. Walk before you run. Why do we rush into the day as if we're already late to life? As if the moment we wake, we must sprint toward something or else we'll fall behind. But monks know a different rhythm. One that doesn't begin with urgency, but with awareness. They walk slowly in the early morning light. Sometimes barefoot, sometimes in silence. Their pace isn't sluggish, it's sacred. Each step is a meditation. Each footfall is a quiet reminder that life isn't a race, but a path meant to be felt. They walk not to arrive, but to be where they are. In Buddhist monasteries, walking meditation is as essential as sitting. It is a practice of deep presence, a way to bring the body and mind back into union. With each step, the monk silently whispers, I have arrived. Not at a destination, but in this breath, in this body, in this moment, their pace honors being not doing. And you, how do you begin your day? Is it a leap into chaos, a blur of tasks, screens, and pressure? Ask yourself gently, where am I hurrying to? And what am I missing on the way there? You may not live in a monastery, but you do walk. You move from room to room, from bed to door, from morning to momentum. And in that movement, there is an invitation. Walk a few steps in silence tomorrow. Just a few. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Listen to the sound of your own breath. Notice the texture of the present moment. The way it holds you. If only you slow down long enough to be held. Slowness is not weakness. It is mastery. It is knowing that life can only be lived here and now, not in the imaginary finish lines your mind is chasing. He who walks slowly arrives fully. You might be surprised how much more you see when you stop rushing past your own life. A flicker of sunlight on the wall, the
scent of morning air, the weight of your own feet. These are not small things. These are life itself. So tomorrow, before you run, walk. Even if just for a minute, let your body teach your mind the wisdom of presence. Feel the balance within. Let your pace reflect your intention to be here, awake, and fully alive. The Buddha once said, "When you walk, just walk." And in that walking, you'll find something that rushing can never offer. Peace without effort, joy without pursuit, life without distance. Slow down your steps, just 10%. You may discover you are never behind. You are just too fast to feel the miracle beneath your feet. 7. Drink water like it's sacred. What if even water was a blessing? What if before we rushed into our tasks and timelines, we remembered that life itself flows through the cup we barely notice? Monks don't drink water just to hydrate. They drink it to honor the miracle of receiving, the humility of being nourished, the silence of the earth offering itself. In a monastery, even the simple act of drinking is a meditation. A monk lifts the cup with both hands. He pauses. He sees the water not as a substance but as a symbol, a moment of connection, a gesture of reverence. Then he drinks slowly. Each sip a reminder. This is life and I am alive. You and I. We drink differently. We gulp between emails. We sip while distracted. We pour while thinking of what's next. But monks remind us that even water becomes sacred when we choose to see it that way. Gratitude turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Reverence changes the speed of life. Take a breath. Picture yourself holding a glass of water tomorrow morning. Instead of rushing, you stop. You look at it. You bow inside. Not with your body, but with your awareness. You remember this water passed through clouds, rivers, soil and time just to be here, just to reach you, and then only then you drink. What if every morning began with that kind of presence? In Buddhism, it is taught that mindfulness must touch everything, not just your thoughts, but your hands, your breath, your routines. And in doing so, everything becomes a doorway to awakening. Even water, especially water, our bodies are made mostly of it. Our emotions are shaped by it. Our energy flows with it. To drink water with mindfulness is to say, I am choosing life today, not just survival, but sacred presence. Ask yourself with compassion, when did your life become too busy for reverence? When did your mornings become too mechanical to remember the miracle of being alive? You don't need more time. You need more presence. The sacred isn't hidden. It's ignored. Start small. One glass, one pause. One moment to honor what most people forget. And you'll notice something strange. Your thoughts soften. Your breath slows. Your heart remembers itself. To a monk, nothing is mundane. Every act is an offering. Every sip is a prayer. They do not wait for temples to express gratitude. The glass in their hand is the temple. So tomorrow when you reach for water, stop, feel it, bless it, receive it, and let that moment be your first ceremony of the day. Because when you drink with reverence, it's not just the body that is nourished. It's the soul that awakens. 8. Eat without stimulation. If you feed your body in noise, how will it know peace? We rush through meals not to nourish ourselves, but to escape ourselves. A phone in one hand, a thought in another, and food becomes just another task, something to get through, not something to receive. But monks eat differently. They eat in silence with both hands and both eyes fully present. No distractions, no stimulation, just breath, presence and gratitude. To a monk, eating is not separate from spiritual life. It is a part of it. The bowl of rice, the steamed vegetables, the warm tea, each is accepted like a sacred offering. The moment is slow, quiet, alive. There is no television, no podcast, no mental checklist competing for attention. Only the food and the awareness that this too is a miracle. Stillness digests more than food. It allows the body to feel, the mind to rest, the soul to return. When you chew slowly, you are not just breaking down food. You are breaking down the habit of rushing through life. You are telling your nervous system, we are safe here. We are awake here. Tomorrow morning when you eat, don't just feed your body. Nourish your awareness. Take one bite in silence. Not to be disciplined, but to remember. Feel the texture, the warmth, the life within it. Let it touch your senses like a prayer touches the soul. Ask yourself quietly, is my hunger physical, or am I really craving something deeper? So often we reach for food not to feed the body, but to avoid emptiness, to distract from pain, to fill space that isn't physical. But monks teach us this. To sit with hunger is not to suffer. It is to see, to understand what we're really longing for beneath the surface. In Buddhist tradition, each meal is preceded by a reflection. Am I worthy of this food? Have I done something today that allows me to receive it with gratitude? This is not guilt. It is grace. A reminder that nothing should be taken for granted. Not even a single grain of rice. You don't have to eat every meal in silence. But what if you chose one? Just one. No screens, no scrolling, no stimulation. Just you, your breath, and the food before you. Could you turn a meal into a meditation? Because when you eat with awareness, food becomes more than fuel. It becomes wisdom, harmony, a return to the sacred within the ordinary. The next time you sit to eat, don't just consume, receive. And let the silence between each bite remind you this moment is enough. This meal is enough. You are enough. 9. Practice one act of humility. Before you conquer the world, bow to it. In the monastery, the day does not begin with ambition. It begins with devotion. Monks sweep the floors. They wash their bowls. They tend to the temple as if tending to their own soul. Not because they are forced to, but because they choose to. These simple acts are not chores. They are offerings. In each movement they say to the universe, I am not above the sacredness of service. You see, humility is not weakness. It is strength without the need to boast. It is dignity without performance. True power begins in surrender not to others but to truth. To the truth that life itself is the greatest teacher, and the more you serve it, the more it serves you. Most people wake up wanting to get ahead, to achieve, to be seen. But monks wake up with the opposite intention: to disappear, to dissolve the ego through action, to become a servant to the moment, not its master. And in doing so, they find a deeper kind of power. Quiet, grounded, unshakable. Tomorrow morning, before the world demands your best, offer it your humility. Do one small act without expecting praise or recognition. Make your bed with attention. Clean your space with love. Offer a kind word, a gentle smile, or a silent blessing to someone you pass. Let it be your silent bow to life. Ask yourself with openness, when was the last time I bowed to the life I've been given? When did I last say thank you? Not with words, but with action. Because gratitude isn't always spoken. Sometimes it's lived through the hands, through service, through the small, invisible offerings that hold the day together. In Buddhist tradition, sweeping the floor is a spiritual practice. It's not about cleaning the dust. It's about cleaning the mind. With each stroke of the broom, the monk
releases a little more attachment, pride, and illusion. They are not trying to perfect the world. They are learning to perfect their presence within it. What if the smallest act done with love is more powerful than the biggest done with pride? What if the most sacred thing you do tomorrow is the thing no one notices? Start your morning not by asking what can I get, but what can I offer? Even the tiniest act done with humility becomes a prayer in motion. Because the soul does not grow through applause. It grows through surrender, through quiet reverence, through service that expects nothing and in return receives everything. So before you rise to meet the world, bow to it and let your first act be your most honest, a gift not from the ego, but from the heart. Reflect on death, not fearfully but freely. What if today is your last sunrise? Not as a sentence, but as a doorway. Not to frighten you, but to wake you. This is not a question of doom. It is a question of clarity. Monks ask it every morning. Not to fall into despair, but to rise into awareness. Because to remember, Death is not to die. It is to live more honestly. In Buddhist monasteries, the morning silence often carries a single reflection. This life is uncertain. This breath may be my last. These aren't words of fear. They are words of reverence. Death is not seen as an enemy. It is seen as a mirror. A mirror that strips away all that is false, all that is temporary, and leaves only what is true. The monk knows the only way to hold life fully is to know that you cannot hold it forever. Imagine rising tomorrow, and before the noise begins, you sit with this question. If I had just one day this day, how would I walk through it? Would you rush? Would you compare? Would you argue about things that mean nothing beneath the weight of eternity? Or would you slow down, breathe deeper, speak softer, love harder? Contemplating death is not morbid. It is liberating. It reminds you that your time is sacred. Your attention is precious. Your love is not infinite. It must be given while you're still here. In this way, death teaches you how to truly live. Monks understand this. That's why they walk with such presence. Why they bow before every action. Why they speak not to impress but to express truth. Because each word might be their last. Each moment might be their final offering. So many of us live as if we have forever. We postpone peace. We delay forgiveness. We hold grudges as if time will wait for us to heal. But what if time isn't waiting? What if this very morning is asking you to wake up not just from sleep but from illusion? Close your eyes and whisper softly. If I had just one day, how would I live it? Let the answer guide your steps. Let it change how you treat yourself and others. Let it free you from trivial concerns and bind you to what truly matters. Because when you see life through death's eyes, the unimportant fades like fog, and what remains shines with unbearable beauty. Loved ones, a warm cup of tea, the sound of birds, your own breath. You don't need more time. You need more awareness of the time you already have. So start your day not with fear, but with freedom, not with resistance, but with reverence. Let death be your teacher, not to take life from you, but to give it back in full. Choose intention, not expectation. Before a monk steps into the rhythm of the day, he asks not what will happen, but why am I rising? In a world ruled by outcomes and measurements, monks quietly choose a different way. They choose intention over expectation, not because they lack ambition, but because they understand the truth. We are not always in control of what unfolds. But we are always in command of how we show up. Expectations are heavy. They cling to results, to rewards, to recognition. They whisper, you must succeed. And when things don't go as planned, they leave behind the dust of disappointment. Intention, however, is light. It is rooted not in what the world gives but in what you offer to the world. A monk begins with a simple inward bow. Today I will serve with presence. I will walk in kindness. I will respond with compassion. Not because someone is watching. Not because it guarantees success. But because these qualities align with his deepest self. The external may change, but the internal remains steady. This is the quiet strength of right intention. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, why am I truly rising today? Is it to chase praise, to outperform, to reach a finish line no one else can see? Or is it to embody patience, courage, gratitude even if no one notices? Can your purpose today live beyond success or failure? Monks do not pray for ease. They pray for truth. And truth is found not in what you achieve, but in how you act. Your intention is your compass. It guides not your path but your posture. You can move through storms with grace, through setbacks with integrity. When your route is not in winning, but in walking rightly. So instead of filling your morning with demands, I must do this. I must get that. Try this. Today I will be present. I will speak from my center. I will let go when needed. I will stay grounded even if the wind comes. These intentions do not fail. They do not bend under pressure. They lead you home. Ask your heart, not your calendar. Who do I choose to be today regardless of what happens? Let that answer become your silent vow. Because the truth is you are not here just to finish tasks. You are here to embody your essence. And when intention becomes your anchor, peace walks with you no matter the outcome. So rise not to conquer the day but to meet it with clarity. Intend not to control but to align. And in doing so, you will not just master your morning, you will meet yourself within it.
Return to the self before the self is lost. Before the doors open, before the world floods in with names, titles, notifications, and noise, a monk sits once more. Not to plan, not to perform, but to return to that quiet place where nothing has been added and nothing has been taken away. It is here in the final breath before the day begins that they meet themselves. Not as a role, not as an identity, but simply as presence. This is not preparation. It is preservation. Because once the day begins, we start forgetting. We forget we are not our job, our tasks, our timelines. We forget that beneath all effort, we are already whole. And so the monk pauses like a candle sheltered in cupped hands, protecting the flame of awareness before the winds of the world arrive. Ask yourself, who are you before anyone expects anything from you? Who are you beneath your ambition, your reflection, your reputation? That self, the one untouched by opinion or pressure, that is the self worth returning to. Most people rise and run. They seek themselves in mirrors, inboxes, to-do lists. But what if instead you gave yourself 5 minutes of sacred stillness? No aim, no label, no language, just being. Not to improve yourself, but to remember that you are not lost. The monks know when you forget who you are, the world will assign you an identity. And once that happens, you spend the day reacting, defending, performing, striving. But when you remember who you are, the world loses its power to define you. You move through it not as a role trying to be enough, but as presence itself already whole, already here. Return to yourself before the self is lost. Even if only for a moment. Sit without reaching. Sit without fixing. Sit like a mountain watches the wind unmoved yet fully awake. Feel your breath. Feel the stillness beneath the breath. That stillness is you. That space is home. And ask gently, if I remembered this stillness all day long, how would I respond to pressure, to noise, to pain? What would I hold on to? And what would I release? You are not the passing weather of emotion. You are the open sky it moves through. You do not have to earn peace. You only have to return to it. So before the world names you again, meet yourself not the version others expect, but the quiet truth that has always been waiting. Then rise not to chase the day, but to carry that remembrance through it. Let the world change. Let plans shift, but do not forget who you are when all else falls silent. Bonus habit. Begin the day by forgiving the night. Before the sun stretches across the earth, before the mind reattaches to duties and roles, a monk does something the world often forgets. He forgives the night. Not because he's weak, but because he knows that what we carry carries us. If we carry resentment, the day becomes heavy. If we carry fear, the hours shrink under its weight. But if we carry forgiveness, even sorrow becomes light enough to hold with grace. The night holds many things. A restless dream, a regret revisited, a memory that knocked too loudly on the door of sleep. The monk does not run from these shadows. He bows to them and he lets them go, not by force, but by softness. Because it's not the pain that keeps us stuck. It's the resistance to feeling it. Forgiveness in the Buddhist way is not approval. It is freedom. It is not forgetting. It is choosing not to suffer twice. What happened, happened. What was said, was said. But you here and now have a choice. Will you relive the ache, or will you release it? Monks know the first breath of the morning should not carry yesterday's wounds. They lay those burdens down not because they no longer care, but because they care too deeply to let pain dictate their day. So they place a gentle hand over the heart, feel the warmth of their own being, and whisper, "It's okay. Begin again." This is the quiet art of inner mercy. To forgive the self for not being perfect. To forgive the mind for its worries. To forgive others for being lost in their own suffering. To wake not clenched and guarded but open and clean like a field after rain. Imagine this. Before you drink water, before you pick up your phone, before you check the mirror or calendar, you sit with your heart. You greet it and you say, "Whatever visited me last night, I release you now." That's not denial. That's power. Because no morning practice, no habit, no affirmation holds meaning. If you begin with resentment in your bones, forgiveness is the foundation, the ground, the still water beneath every ripple of transformation. Without it, the most sacred ritual becomes surface deep. And perhaps, just perhaps, this is the one habit that makes all the others lighter. Not because life is easy, but because you are no longer dragging yesterday into today. You are no longer at war with what already passed. So before you walk into this new morning, pause. Forgive the night. Forgive the dream. Forgive yourself. Then rise not just with discipline, but with softness. Not just with purpose, but with peace. Quick summary of the habits. Wake before the world does. Waking up before sunrise allows you to connect with yourself before the world interferes. It builds inner presence and sets a sacred tone for the entire day. Early waking is not about productivity. It's about peace. Monks rise in silence to honor the moment. This habit reconnects you with awareness. Don't reach for the world. First, most people start their day by reaching for phones or distractions. Monks begin with stillness, intention, or breath, not noise. What you touch first sets the tone of your mind. Avoid grabbing the world before you've centered yourself. Presence comes before performance. Breathe with devotion, not duty. Breathing is often taken for granted. Monks treat it as sacred, a conscious return to the now. Deep, slow breathing reconnects you with the body and the present. It's not a task, but a quiet prayer. Begin your day with mindful, intentional breath. Let go before you hold on. Before monks absorb new experiences, they release old ones. Letting go of yesterday allows today to begin clearly. This habit purifies your energy and resets your emotional state. Carrying yesterday's weight only clouds your clarity. Morning is a fresh spiritual beginning. Chant or pray softly to anchor the mind. Monks use soft chants or quiet prayer to guide the mind inward. Sound becomes a tool for awareness. Repeating sacred words helps reduce mental clutter. This isn't about religion, but alignment. Your first words should be medicine for your mind. Walk before you run. Monks begin their movement slowly and consciously. Rushing leads to disconnection. Starting your day with calm, mindful steps grounds your energy. It helps align your body and breath. Gentle movement brings you into harmony with yourself and the day. Drink water like it's sacred. Monks begin their day by drinking water with full presence and gratitude. It's an act of reverence, not routine. You nourish not just the body, but the mind. Even simple acts become sacred when done with awareness. Start your day hydrated and humble. Eat without stimulation. Eating in silence without screens or multitasking builds presence. Monks eat slowly with full attention on each bite. It transforms eating into meditation. This practice brings stillness and gratitude. Begin your day by feeding your body and mind consciously. Practice one act of humility. Monks
perform small humble tasks each morning. It helps dissolve the ego and nurture gratitude. Cleaning, bowing, or serving can center you in truth. Start the day grounded, not grandiose. Humility is the foundation of inner strength. Reflect on death, not fearfully but freely. Contemplating impermanence helps monks stay anchored in the present. Remembering that time is limited inspires deep appreciation. This morning reflection isn't morbid. It's clarifying. It brings urgency to live mindfully. When you honor death, you begin to truly live. Choose intention, not expectation. Monks don't obsess over outcomes. They set clear, conscious intentions. This morning habit shifts focus from control to clarity. Align your energy with who you want to be, not what you want to achieve. Intention sets the soul's direction. Return to the self. Before the self is lost, before monks begin their duties, they return to presence. They center themselves in silence, remembering who they truly are. It's a final inner check-in before facing the world. This habit protects your peace and restores identity. The self must be met before it is masked. Begin the day by forgiving the night. Monks start fresh by forgiving the past, including the previous night. Mistakes, dreams, or regrets are not carried into the new day. Forgiveness creates emotional clarity and peace. It's a gentle release, not a harsh reset. Every morning becomes a new beginning. When the soul forgets itself, the world begins to own it. Most people wake up only to continue yesterday's noise. They never pause to ask, "Who am I?" before the world tells me who to be. The habits of monks are not about doing more. They are about being more awake. Each sacred action at dawn is an act of reclaiming inner space. It's about remembering your essence before stepping into the illusion of form, roles, and routines. Zen teaches that simplicity is the path to truth. These 12 habits are invitations to walk that path, not toward productivity, but toward presence. Every sip of water, every breath, every quiet act becomes a seed for a deeper life. In a world addicted to speed, this is rebellion through stillness. Morning mastery isn't the goal. Inner alignment is. So, tomorrow morning, pause. Just pause. Before you move, remember that peace isn't something you find, it's something you stop forgetting. Don't just wake up, awaken. If this video gave you clarity or calm, please like and share it with someone who needs it. Comment below with your favorite habit or insight. And don't forget to subscribe to the Dharma State of Mind for more Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.